Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Totin' Minnesota, and I'm going to try to talk fast and give you some of the specs from this optic as well as the tripod a little bit. This is the VEO HD 80A spotting scope bundle with tripod and digiscope adapter from Vanguard World or Vanguard Outdoors. The bundle includes the spotting scope, the travel tripod, and then with a pan head, and then the digiscope adapter. This is a lightweight, durable composite carbon material. For the tripod, it's a fully multi-coated set of lenses with phase corrected back for roof prisms on the spotting scope. It's 100% waterproof, fog proof, has a really large eyepiece, two-step twist eye cup, mountable to a tripod because it has Arca Swiss compatibility. It's built right in. It's got a large center focus adjustment wheel, angle adjustable knob. It's got a built-in sun shield and includes lens covers, carrying case, or shoulder strap for easy transport into the field, and a lifetime warranty on the spotting scope. So I'm going to start off by showing you a little bit of long-range spotting at 1,030 yards. All right, well, here's what I'm up to. I'm at 325 yards. Judging by the sun and the time, I have 15 minutes until sundown. And so I've got a little bit of testing to finish up with this right here. This spotting scope has been very, very good, and I'm going to try to get a little more footage with some shooting. And then I have my Vanguard shooting rest, my tripod, rather. So I'm going to use a combination of these things and shoot at some clays down there. It's really dark. They're in the shadow. Sunlight is basically not reaching them anymore. I do have some steel up there too. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it with the highway in the background, but my goal is to get a little bit of footage from these devices here today and kind of show you that Vanguard is covering all the bases. I've got my CZ 457, and it clamps in really well on this chassis version here. Discovery sent out this 5-25. This is their new Gen 2 5-25. And so I get to test this out and play with it and see what the low light performance is like. Now, if you're wondering why I'm shooting in a somewhat crouched position, my goal is to support my body a little bit. So I have my foot under my leg and I have my knees locked into kind of bone position here, and so that I have less play. That's pretty good. I think that's decent right there. A bigger bag would be even better, but I can do that. Excellent. Okay, just that easy, and I'm comfortable. I'm really steady, actually. Temperature is dropping and changing really rapidly, and I can feel it. I can feel the cold air falling into the little valley I'm in here, and that's going to change my data a little bit, so I'll play around with that. Well, I'm all set up. I'm going to dial in, let's see, start off with 13 mils. 13.2. I think that should be ballpark for the big steel or the clays. And I have my remote device to click record on the camera on my spotter, which is really convenient. So press that, and I can actually hear it. Click that as well. That's really cool. Let's go ahead and send a couple rounds down range, and I'll turn this mic off. Here we go. Let's go for the clay on the far right first. Oh, very low. That temperature is going to do it, man. Wow. I'm telling you, the cold really changes your data. Okay. About a half mil high. It's close. Oh. It's dancing around. Oh, I do have one more. Here we go. Got it. Here we go. Let's do 5 on the silhouette. Impact. Did not see. Impact. I'm holding a half mil to the left, by the way. Impact. Impact. Man, that's really addicting. Impact. Now I'm going to transfer because this head moves around so easily. It's nice, I can quickly advance. I'm going to go to, let's see, I see some clay pigeons there at 320. I'm going to go for one of those clay pigeons, slightly different distance. I'll take off at 2/10, I think. All right, now going for the clay pigeon that's in the pit above 13. Little low. Little low. I did take 2/10 off. I'll give them back. See what happens. I think the temperature is getting the best of me now. And that was my last round. .627 standing tripod shots. All right, there's about 5 minutes until sundown, and I'm testing out the low light performance here on different magnifications, looking at a little past 600 yards and then a little closer at 300 yards. Just looking at how that focus feature works as it's gotten pretty cold out. It's still moving and navigating well. It's smooth, it's not rough or gritty to move and navigate that wheel, the focus wheel. And the magnification itself moves really nice on the neck here. Very, very good. The eye box doesn't change too much. Focus does change when you change your magnification. It's kind of normal. There we go. That's a pretty tight image. I can spot my hits on my steel just fine. What am I on right now? I'm on about 45 power. So looking at my IPSC, yeah, I can easily spot my impacts on there. Individual hits, pieces of clay pigeon broken down there, rocks, vegetation that's moving back and forth. And I don't know if you can tell in the background, it's very cloudy. It's dark. It already seems like it's sundown right now. But I can read that vegetation, little trees and brush. You can see birds flying around down there. That's on 45 power. Let's back it down, or back it up. Let's go back up. Here we go. Now looking at 60 power. Yeah, still usable. Slightly darker image, but not much. The focus has just enough finesse to get that a nice crystal, kind of sharp, clear center image. But when it's, near sundown like this, I'm not going to use full magnification most of the time. I'll probably get more detail and more a higher quality image at 30x, and that's just more honestly what I would be using. And that's an awesome image. Yeah, 30x edge to edge still looks really, really good. I'm picking out a lot of detail, guys. Considering how dark it is right now, this objective is pulling in a huge amount of light. It's just a huge field of view too. I can see so far across. It's a great image. I like that everything is rubberized on here too. When it's this cold out, you get to the teens or so. That's not insanely cold for Minnesota. It's just cold for fall. But being able to just have a rubberized, kind of thermo-resistant material on everything is important. That's a really nice image. I really like using this at 30 power so far. I just can't find anything that I don't like about it at 30 power. It's a great image. Now the tripod that this came with is really, really nice as well. Being a taller guy, I'm always complaining about shorter tripods. And this one's not short, but the pan feature is pretty smooth. I like that. Pan looks good. I like that it has a control handle up front here, so if I want to go ahead and loosen that up and get a little elevation to my image, there we go. It doesn't interfere with the bell or the objective. It's pretty smooth all around. Not too bad. I think the shell, the protective shell, actually makes sense, especially since I'll be throwing this in a bag. And again, it's an Arca footprint, so it's easy for me to take off. And the VEO PH20 head that I'm using here, this has a little retainer and a stopper on top, as well as a level. And that makes a lot of sense because of the way that they designed the base on this. So when it was really windy out today, I wasn't concerned about this just sliding right off. So a few of the accessories that come with this package that are super useful would be like the VEO PA65 here, which is the larger size. This might work on some binoculars, but it's really intended for spotting scopes, and that's what I'm going to advertise it for. It has this large diameter ratcheting system here for like the big spotting scope I was using today. That's so valuable for me, by the way. And then it has, included in the kit is a remote that is Bluetooth, and it has 2 settings. You can have iPhone, iOS, and then Android, and so I was using the Android feature, and it Bluetooth paired very, very easily. It's just like a lot of the remotes out there, but it's really nice to get that included for free with the battery installed already. And then you have your QS71P, which is an Arca rail attachment. But this Arca rail attachment has two things in it. It's got the detent in there for the plate, for pieces that you're going to clip into this, and then it also has the 1/4 inch underneath, and the 1/4 inch does have the I'm not sure what you call that, the little half loop there, so you can attach it to something with a little bit of tension, and you don't have to just try to use a flathead or kind of the old conventional method like that. You can actually just hand tighten it in. And this right here is a really nice set to have included with that package. They're all very usable, and most people will want something like that anyways. Now what I'm going to show you here is this knob, which allows for cant. And the reason that cant is pretty cool to have, especially at this price point, is cant is something useful, especially for the long range shooters. So if you can imagine, in long range shooting, a lot of times you're shooting from the prone, you're laid out, and it is not convenient to take a shot and then break from the glass and the position, the comfort in your bag, and then try to stand up and look through a spotting scope to catch, where did you shoot, and try to, take that image and that memory and then sit down and make a correction. But you can actually shoot from the prone, and particularly in the angle I'm showing you right there, all the way at that extreme angle. You can just look from the prone over from your scope, over your spotting scope, or even better yet, put your phone bracket on there and see your phone, your digiscope adapter. So something like that is really convenient for shooting from the prone. This right here is kind of like a scope coat or a cover, a protective cover, and it has a few values to me. Now, first of all, it's got, kind of like a temperature resistance thing, so it's a little bit warmer to hold on to. It also keeps it from getting scuffed up, and at the same time, it allows for the ability to carry it. It's got some clips on it, so you can put a strap, like a shoulder strap, across it, or hook it onto a piece of gear, or just to secure it to a backpack or something like that. Another cool feature would be this sunshade right here, which is integral to the device itself. So you don't have to remember that or screw it in. You can just simply slide it out, and that's a brilliant way to do it. In fact, I think a lot of companies should start going this direction, because that's a great design right there. Installing the cover is just a little bit of a chore because it needs to fit tightly in order to work well. You don't want this to have slop in it, and so it's just a little bit of tension to get it around the neck piece there. And then the other piece that I found, this is maybe a minor critique, is it's about something like a 1/4 inch or 3/16 inch, maybe too little of material for that zipper portion. So I'm gonna take this off and try to show you the bottom here to zip that up. I think it's just a little bit too tight, although it does function well, and I don't think it's going to break the zipper. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, this tightness is just fine and it's better this way, but it seems like it could have just a touch, like literally a 1/4 inch or 3/16 maybe, a little bit more material there to make the zipper connection a little more natural and easy to get going. But either way, even on camera, I was able to just grab it and push it together, and it's on, installed properly. It does have a little front latch there to keep your cap secured. I suggest stretching it down to the bottom so it fits the right way, just like that. And I have a little loop of paracord on the very, very top to connect my cap to the actual case itself. That's not included. That's just something I did. It's a 3-cent fix. All right, so the reason I'm not mounting it on the left side is because the focus ring that this attaches to, this will move it. The weight of my phone will move it. So I actually need to attach it to the right side, and the right side will keep it with pressure in the direction I need it to go, because the focus for my eye is set up all the way to the right, and that's what's clear for my eye anyways. That's no problem for me. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out and correct that. Remember, all I have to do is, let's get this out of the way. All I have to do is press on this to the big O. So there's tightening, cinching it down, and then loosening. So I'm just rotating just that outer cap. One thing I did want to comment on is when you have your phone installed on there, it's going to work pretty well to zoom in and out a little bit, and depending on your phone, that's going to affect some of the clarity. Now when I go to the magnification ring here, or the zoom ring, and I change the zoom, it's going to change the eye box a little bit. It's also going to change the way that the angles are. Some of the issue here is that it's not set up perfectly. My phone isn't set up perfectly behind the eye box as well, and I didn't attach it perfectly. So if you take a little bit more time, you can not deal with this quite as much, but you probably will still deal with a little bit of shadowing going around the edges, or one side or the other. It might favor it just a little bit. So what I suggest is play around with this before you try to go use it on a hunt or on your first time shooting, spotting for someone. Just mess around with a little bit to make sure you know what your phone needs to be set up like. And there's multiple adjustments on this. It's very user friendly, but that's just one thing I wanted to let you know ahead of time. Here's 50 yards at 20 power, and I think I'm focusing pretty well. Those are 22 impacts on the paper, and I can spot them pretty well. In fact, with my eye, it looks a little bit more like this. When I'm looking at it at 20 power, it's actually quite zoomed in. So not difficult to see. Easily spot those impacts. I'm going to back out on my phone here for a second. And now I will zoom in to, let's go to 40 power next. Alright, the eye box has changed with 40 power on my phone. That's probably partially due to the way that my phone is set up. Okay, that looks clear. I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone for a second. Now, other than the eye box issue with a little bit of shadowing on the bottom, obviously at 40 power, I'm seeing it closer. I'm seeing it more like this. Maybe even more at 40 power. It's more like that. And my phone is going to do its best to try to focus as well, so I apologize about that. Let's go up to 80 power, or 60 power rather. All right, there's 60 power, and what I'm seeing in real life is more like this. It's incredibly zoomed in, much more than I would ever use at 50 yards. Some brief information on the VEO 3GO 265 hap aluminum tripod with pan head. So the Vanguard VEO tripod offers an abundance of extra height for taller users, and I am one of those people. But it's still really portable. It actually packs down really small. So if it's extended, it goes up to 64.4 inches, and when it's folded up properly, it's 17 inches, which is easily backpackable in my opinion. So the weight is 4.4 pounds, not bad at all. It does come with the PH20 ARCA compatible pan head and a large QS71P. I already showed you that, the quick release plate. It has easy twist leg locks for deploying quickly, and they're strong in my opinion. The leg angles can be 20 degrees, 50 degrees, or 80 degrees. It converts to a monopod. There's actually one of the legs that can release and quickly become a monopod, which is super useful for a selfie stick. It has rubber and spiked feet included to match whatever terrain you're going to be on. It's CNC machined for precision and quality, and the max load, this is an important part, is 13.2 pounds. Here I'm using the gear hanger hook, and I think those are indispensable in tripods like this. They're very useful for windy conditions, or when you have poor weather and you don't want to put stuff down in the mud or the snow. You don't want critters getting into it perhaps, and just centering the balance of the tripod. I think the tripod overall is a really good value included in with, you know, a spotting scope that I think is already worth near the price. And then throwing in a tripod and all these other accessories, it's really a great bundle. Here's 50 power recording, and I'm taking some shots at 625 yards. And you can see that parabolic arc, that sonic cone as it's going through the air. I can definitely pick out which hit is which and distinguish impacts well enough. And that's even with the limitation of, you know, kind of a very average phone. A better phone would give you a better image, I think. There's 30x. 30x is a pretty generous field of view. Actually, I would say it's huge. It's a huge field of view. Considering you're looking at 30 power, that's an enormous field of view. You could spot really well and pick out detail really well on an elk or a deer, or if you're watching the steel. I have a 4-inch target above and a 6-inch on the far left, and I could easily spot impacts or misses in the brush with 30 power. So that's relatively, you know, low power for what this optic is. It's the halfway point. This optic goes up to 60 power. And now looking at 20 power. 20 power, very, very practical. I think if I was at a long range comp or PRS comp, maybe NRL 22, this is probably where I would leave it, is 20 power, because I can still easily see hits on steel. I can tell if the shot favored left or right of targets. And when it comes to critters and animals, I could get a big field of view and see what's around the animal that's maybe going to be shot at, or direction that things are going. And if you notice at the bottom third of the glass here, still a nice clear image. There's a generally good depth of field, and I can see that brush and vegetation. So if I was going to take this 600-yard shot and I was going to have a phone mounted up just like this and have a friend hit record, or maybe I would use my wireless remote to hit record, recording myself on a hunt, which would be cool, I could spot and see the vegetation, or my friend could if I had a friend with me, and read that vegetation down below before taking the shot, because there's such a wide field of view at 20 power. So a lot of advantages there, but each range has its purpose, and there's a reason that there's usually a calibration of 20 to 60 power in optics set up like this. So just to make some of this work for the channel, some of the things I have to do is get my scope cam situated right on the rifle, which does takes a little bit of work. It doesn't always want to meet up just right, and sometimes the rings interfere. There's a couple things there. I have to get the right ammo. I have to make sure I remember my ammo, which I've forgotten before. Getting my spotter set up. Thankfully, I have recently, the last month, I've been using this Vanguard, and this is a 20 to 60 from them, and this spotter, I'm not going to say it solves all problems for everyone, but for me it solved a significant amount of issues I was having with just setup time and camera. So I actually use their VEO PA65, and this I can strap my phone into. I can hook it up, ratchet it down on the eyepiece here, get it focused, and I'm pretty much ready to film right there, which has been enormous, just so I can show people actual real world impacts, have a little evidence behind the groups that I'm talking about. But as a backup, when I shoot paper, I always have my long shot target camera, and this is another thing I have to set up. So all in all, before I pull a trigger at 800 or 1000 on my channel, I've probably got 3 hours invested into getting gear together, travel time, setting up flags, different distances, targets, dealing with other people. Sometimes people have a lot of questions about gear, and yeah, it's hours, man. But I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying it. It's just a lot of work. I almost forgot. The whole reason I was bringing that up was every time I find something that makes my job a little easier, whether that be in a hunting scenario or recording for my channel or just shooting in general, when I find something that makes it easier, I definitely hop on that, and I want to give it high praise. So like this tripod system that I'm using from Vanguard, the tripod, the shooting rest tripod, and a couple other little units here or there, the remote clicker, the Bluetooth clicker. I mean, just all this stuff has made it so much easier for me to shoot and film in different scenarios. I feel like I can just get the trifecta here. If I carry with me my 3 Vanguard items right now, I've got a pair of binos, a spotter, and a tripod, and then also another tripod. If I carry that stuff with me, I can pretty much always be guaranteed that I can take care of what I need to in the field, whether I'm shooting, hunting, sport shooting, competition. It just kind of covers all the bases with that package right there. It was a very, very, very good thing to take into the channel and start reviewing. Man, that's a really nice image. I think I'll be able to spot some splash today for sure. A little bit of dust cloud, and I am thinking I will also be able to catch a little bit of trace. If I'm on about 30 power, that looks like sun is just slightly at my back. Crystal clear. I can spot a lot of detail. I know the sun is out and it's optimum time to be viewing, but that doesn't take away from the quality of this image. Tripod gives me lots of functionality for getting it right where I want it to be. I can see every single bullet impact on the steel, and even some on the paper that is near the steel. It's an excellent image. I'm going to say that with technology, when I put my phone up on this, the phone can get some of an idea, but it's not going to be the same as your eye ever. It's just not the same. Unless you have a newer phone than I do. But man, with the eye, it looks really good. And I'm not in the center of the glass, I'm in the bottom third of the glass. And I'm still really happy with that image. Here comes a good gust of wind. Here's a little spotting at 830 yards. Hard to hear, but I do see it moving, and I have my target light. That indicator was flashing. There's another hit. Another hit. Another hit. And let's do one more. Ooh, I missed. That was a little low and right. Yep, that was a miss. Hopefully you could spot that miss as easily as I could. All right, for this first few rounds, I think I'll throw them at a clay and try to get a read on the wind. At 830 yards, using some 130 grain factory seconds from Federal. These are Burger hybrids. And I've got my Bushnell Match Pro on a Savage 110 Elite Precision. Let's see, there's a clay. And the wind is fairly full value right now, but it's dying off, so let's go ahead and get a shot. Okay, a little more windage. And thankfully there's a functional reticle there. I can kind of measure. I was holding about here, and it looks like I needed to be holding here in that wind. A little low. Threw some dirt on it for sure. A little high. Got it. All right, there it is. Well, that's a nice image for my eye. One thing I do like a lot about this tripod is just the fact that even a guy like me who's 6'5", instead of hunching, I'm so used to hunching over, I can, let's go ahead and move it over a little bit right there. I can get this to be where I don't really have to hunch at all. In fact, it can go taller than I need it to. It would fit probably on a straight spotting scope instead of an angled as well, just because it can get so tall. But I like that feature a lot because now I'm just comfortable and I don't feel like I'm arching to try to get into the glass. There we go. Excellent. Excellent image at 1,030 yards on some steel. I'm going to touch up that focus just a bit. And I'm on, let's see, I'm on about 45 power. No, not quite that far. About 42. Let's get that focused in. And for recording tonight, because the light is gone and it's basically sundown, a couple minutes here, I'm going to keep that image in the center of the glass. I'm not going to try to put it in the edges. That just kind of gives you a blurry image and me a blurry image with such low light. I think it's more appropriate to put it in the center of the glass because if you were in a hunting scenario, that's what you would attempt to do too. Or if you're spotting at a competition, you wouldn't necessarily be, testing the extremes of the glass and the bend and chromatic aberration, all that. You're just trying to get the best image you can. So being practical, I'll leave it right there. I'm going to go ahead and throw on my accessory, which has just been a lifesaver this last month. Man, is that easy. There it is. That's all I have to do. I'll grab my phone off my camera here, I'll plug that in, and I can spot those hits. And hopefully we can see my target light, if that hasn't died or been shot off yet, on the target itself. Maybe just double check. Yeah, we're good to go. All right, 1,000 yards with the Match Pro 5 to 30. And I'm recording through a Vanguard 20 to 60 on 43 power. 1,030 yards on that 2/3 size IPSC. Gonna run some 130 grain, a little light for the wind, but we'll see what happens. A little bit right. Could spot that on 18 power, no problem. There's an impact. 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 Remember, that is a 2/3 size IPSC. It's not my big target. It's a little bit smaller. It's really thick, so you can't hear it, but I can definitely see that light going. Obviously spotting at 1,000+ yards, very, very capable optic, and thanks to that big objective, a pretty bright image at sundown. All right, so I've got my phone plugged in here, and looking at the moon, the interesting thing is my phone cannot do what my eye can do. So unfortunately, I am not going to be able to reduce that light. I've tried a number of ways just to darken the image a little bit because of that high contrast. So it's my phone technology that can't do it. But I'm going to tell you, I have never, ever seen the moon so clearly. When I look through with just my eye, not looking through the phone, it's absolutely incredible the amount of detail that I'm getting out of this. And I'm on 20x right now. I'm going to go ahead and bump it up a little bit here. And I know this isn't designed for astronomical use, but actually with my eye, I'm getting a really, really nice image when I look through it. The phone is just not going to come close, but it gives you an idea, at least an idea. Let's see if I can redirect this a little bit. Hopefully that gives you an idea, guys, of just how cool of an image you can get with a spotting scope. I know it's not a telescope and there are design differences for a reason, but these spotting scopes are multi-purpose. There's a lot of neat things you can do. I love showing my kids the moon, and when they can look through this and have a really crystal clear image of that moon zoomed in, it's just fascinating. So one more idea for those of you who are trying to get the most out of your products. Now let me go ahead and zoom up to max power. One more time, I just want to mention that what my phone is seeing as black and then the moon, that shadow portion, when I look at it, I can actually see into the shadow, into those dark spots to the left of the illuminated portion where the sun is reflecting on the moon. I can actually see in the dark spots, in the craters there. My phone technology cannot do that, but it's really cool to be able to zoom in on. I'm on 60 power, and I think the thing that's making this such a good image to my eye, at least, even if the phone can't pick it up, what's making it such a great image to my eye is that big 80mm objective. It's letting in as much as is possible, and it's getting some decent detail. I think even right now with my phone, I think that's a pretty neat image, but I'm telling you, as soon as I take my phone out, take off the mount, and look through with my eye, I'm getting a way, way better image. Lots of detail and information coming through this. Pretty neat. So who's going to get the most out of a product like this? Well, I'm going to tell you about my application, and you can tell if it makes sense for you and the way you use optics. But for me, I think this kind of spotting scope, the majority of its life is going to be spent between like 30 and 40 power. Okay, it's kind of in the middle, maybe up to that 50 power, occasionally 60 power when I'm at 1,000 yards and I really have nice, clean air, good air quality, and not bad mirage. Most of the time it's going to be spent in there, and for me, it's going to be like spotting, maybe at a sporting event, but definitely in hunting. Definitely at hunting, this would be an excellent spotting scope for distance shots. And for there, I still have a nice wide field of view. I have a really big objective on this guy. And even if it's sunny out, I can reach inside and pull that thing out. All right, that's cool. When I'm shooting at the range, spotting, absolutely. In fact, being that this has a neck that can turn, I can set this down low on the ground and I can spot for myself if I don't have, a long-range target camera set up with me. I can turn this and just look over while I'm shooting, and the clarity is there, absolutely. At 600 yards earlier tonight, it was really decent, I thought, to be able to pick up what I was seeing on my steel, the hits on the steel, and differentiate individual impacts. I think the price point is going to hit a lot of people, and quite frankly, most people who are like me, where you need it to do multiple things, not just one thing well, it needs to do multiple things well. The fact that this comes in a package, you're going to have your ability to record hunts, to record bird watching. I know bird watchers especially, this would be like a very valuable package. You don't have to go find a good tripod that's going to get to the right height. You don't have to go find something that's going to work with the ocular lens and the focus cap and all that. Just everything is paired together. So I think that Vanguard has done all the homework. And Vanguard Outdoors has a lot of other products. In fact, this isn't even their top tier spotter. They have more expensive, better glass spotters. But I'm going to say most people who are like me, you're going to get a lot out of this model and this package. I think the VEO package in general, the line, the VEO products, are really built for people who actually use their stuff. There are $2,000, $5,000 spotters out there. They're crazy, amazing glass. But for most of us, the things we need to accomplish, the things we're going to do, very practically speaking, this is what I would push people towards. And so if you're a hunter, maybe a competition shooter, and you want to get into a pretty big objective and you want that 20 to 60 power, you want the ability to cant the optic, this is kind of a do-all optic, and it does all of that very well, reasonably well, with a decent image, in my opinion. Now that the sun is down and I've been spotting around with it, I'm enjoying the fact that I can still see pretty far, pretty clearly, and I do recommend this product. I think it's useful. It's not going to be the same quality of glass or even tripod as some of their more expensive units. And so if you could save up just a few dollars more, I will say there's a significant upgrade in glass quality and even capability. But features wise, Vanguard is one of the companies that's offering the most features and a ready to go package for so many types of hunters and competition shooters out there. Instead of hunting around trying to figure out what parts match up with what, I'm just going to recommend if you have this kind of budget, and you're going to be good to go for most applications. If you like this video, it would help me a lot if you would like and subscribe, especially because I have more Vanguard products coming out. If spotting scopes are not exactly your thing and you would rather go towards binoculars for the type of hunting or application you have, stick around because I have a pair of binoculars that I'm really eager to show you from Vanguard Outdoors.